baseball needs. Now from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
Coming to you from downtown St. Louis, we are still the best baseball city in America, but we have been bruised over the past, few years or so, really going back to 2015 when the Cardinals were a 100-win team and they lost in the postseason. Who did they lose to? The Chicago Cubs. And in my opinion, that's where it all started to turn, even though the Cardinals made the postseason here and there between 2015 to now. But this last decade, remember, the Cubs beat them in the division series in 2015. 2016, we had to sit here and watch the Chicago Cubs win the World Series while the Cardinals did not make the postseason. Missed it by a few days, but missed it. And then 17, and then 18, sitting through all of that and not winning. And the managerial change, Mike Matheny gets fired, Mike Schilt gets hired. Cardinals win in 2019. We have to, at least they win a series. They beat the Braves. They go and get swept by the Nationals. Remember 2020, of course, we all do. The season is shut down. We have a shortened season. Dodgers win half a title. Cardinals get knocked out. 2021, Cardinals just make the playoffs enough, but get knocked out. 2022, after Schilt gets fired, Ollie Marmol gets hired, and along comes Albert Pujols, who can't hit in the first half of the season. Somehow, during the home run derby, right around this time of year, All-Star break, he goes absolutely nuts. Cardinals make the playoffs and get beaten by the Phillies in their own ballpark. After a promising year and all that stuff, the division title and everything, losing season in 23 and last year just trying to figure it out and a winning record, but not to where they wanted to be. And it's all the Cubs' fault in 2015. No, it's, but that's been part of the anger of Cardinals fans, I think, is the fact that the Cubs did some of that early and the Cardinals did not. And the Cardinals just have not lived up to what their fans expect. They expect to compete for world championships. They've won 11. They won in 2011, and that's the last time. They went in 2013, lost to the Red Sox. The Cardinals are one of the great and most successful franchises in sports. And so when you want them to do well, like on July 4th, and you're going to Wrigley Field, or you're watching or listening from home, and you're excited, and the Cardinals are going to make a dent into the Chicago Cubs this time, after splitting the 4-game series in St. Louis, and they get absolutely rocked. Rocked to the point where they had never given up that many home runs in a game in their history. And the Cubs hadn't hit that many in a game in their history. And here comes Saturday. And if you went to bed on the 4th, happy because you're with family and friends and it's the 4th of July, but a little part of you was ticked off because the Cardinals got absolutely thumped. Your love for baseball was renewed on Saturday, because Saturday, I am here to tell you, folks, was one of the great baseball games. And the Cardinals and Cubs play these type of epics all the time at Wrigley Field and sometimes at Busch Stadium. But Wrigley Field seems to be where the adventure takes place. And an adventure right off the bat when Nolan Arenado gets scratched at the last moment because of a shoulder impingement. So here comes Thomas Saggese. And what does Saggese do? Well, the Cardinals need something here. They are begging for something, and Saggese, right off the bench, the starting third baseman, does this.
Flexing on 1 and 2. Saggese wraps it to right field. That's a hit. The Cardinals are going to get one run. Coming around third base, Wilson Contreras. And the throw comes into the infield. Contreras scores 2-0 Cardinals. Thomas Saggese breaks an 0 for 19, driving in 2. And he makes it into second.
John Rooney with a great call on KMOX. Bottom of the second, Michael Busch hits a home run, and it's 2-1 Cardinals. Michael Busch is just red hot. Of course he is, against the Cardinals right at the wrong time, and it's 2-1. But you know who else has been heating up here in the month of June and into July? He looks really good. He is Nolan Gorman.
Gorman flied out to left his first time. The next pitch to him is hit towards left center field. He may have gotten enough of that one, and he did. Big fly, Nolan Gorman, his 8th of the season, and it's now 3-1 St. Louis.
And that's when you knew the Cardinals are in a good place here. If Gorman is hitting a breaking ball like that, and he absolutely walloped to that thing, the Cardinals are going to be in a good spot here. If he plays well, I think their lineup is so much better because of that left-handed power bat. He would deliver later. It's 3-1 Cardinals at that point in the top of the fourth. Let's skip ahead to the sixth inning. Matthew Liberatore pitched admirably, but he struggled at the same time. He really labored through his start on a hot day. He just wasn't able to get through innings clean. He ended up walking 4, striking out 4, 2 runs on 4 hits in 5 innings, gave up a home run, but he did what he had to do, and he got through 5, and the Cardinals turned it over to Kyle Leahy in the 6th inning. We're in the bottom of the 6th, Wrigley Field, Cards and Cubs yesterday, and here's how the bottom of the 6th unfolded. This is Kyle Leahy, who actually leads the team in appearances. He has more appearances than Phil Maton. He has more appearances than John King, and he replaces Matthew Liberatore. Right away, Carson Kelly, the former Cardinal, doubles off of him to center. Then Michael Busch singles, so now you got Carson Kelly at third. Then Leahy throws a wild pitch, and that sends Busch to second base, and here comes Nico Hoerner.
Second and third, nobody out. Another 2-2 pitch. Hoerner swings, and he loops that one into left center. That is a base hit. The tying run scores over to third. Michael Busch. We're tied at 3. Leahy has given up a run on 3 hits.
Yeah, Michael Busch is at third, and then this.
From the stretch, the pitch. And a wild pitch. It goes back to the screen. Hayes couldn't catch it. Busch scores. The Cubs lead 4-3.
I mean, weren't you saying, here we go? Here we go. It's happening again. Well, the Cardinals somehow get out of that. And how do they get out of it? They do it with a sensational, and I mean sensational, performance by Steven Matz. He jumps in there after Kyle Leahy does what he does and gets a ground out, at least, for Matt Shaw. Matz walks Ian Happ, but then he gets Tucker to fly out. He walks Suzuki, and he gets Pete Crow Armstrong with the bases loaded. He lands a breaking ball on the inner half, and that's what kind of fuels it for him. He throws him 2 consecutive fastballs high and away, and PCA chases them both, and he gets out of that inning. That was a tremendous fist-pumping event there by Steven Matz that might go a little unnoticed, but that could easily, it was 4-3 Cubs, easily could have been 8-3, just like that. But now it's Steven Matz, who's key for this team. And the Cardinals are down 4-3. And then Carson Kelly in the bottom of the 7th.
The 1-1 delivery is an off-speed pitch, and that's hammered to left field, and that is out of here. A hanger from Steven Matz, and Carson Kelly did not miss it. The Cubs with their second home run of the game, and they now lead by 2. 5-3 Cubs.
And I mean, Matz was so ticked off about that. He gets the strikeout of Busch. He gets Hoerner to pop out, but man, he is shouting into his glove. He's screaming. Matz is a pretty cool customer. He was mad that he gave up that, and it's 5-3 Cubs. And again, you're thinking, here we go. You know, that's it. That's it. No, not with this Cardinals team. This Cardinals team is different. There's something about this 2025 team. They frustrate us. They go through cold spells, but then they do things like this that starts to reel you back in. Brad Keller's the pitcher in the top of the 8th. Wilson Contreras flies out. Here comes Alec Burleson.
The pitch. There's a swing and a drive to deep center field. Armstrong back to the wall, and it is out of here. Burleson hits a home run, and it's a 1-run game.
It's 5-4 Cubs, and there's still more to come. There's 1 out. Thomas Sajaci singles to right, and this was another one that's going to fly under the radar, but this is a great job by Lars Nootbaar.
The pitch. Nootbaar bunts it up the third base line, and it's going to be a hit. The pitcher, Keller, gave way so Kelly could pick it up. Both of them missed it, and it's a bunt single for Nootbaar. Now Sajaci is the tying run on second for Nolan Gorman.
Nolan Gorman is up next. After that mishap, here's Gorman.
The pitch. A swing and a base hit to left field. Being waved around third base, Thomas Sajaci. He's going to score. The throw goes for third. First and third, 1 out. The Cardinals have tied the game at 5.
Nolan Gorman, his home run was great. That's even better. A big-time hit in a big-time moment. He hits it to left. Remember, Nolan's starting to hit to the opposite field. He's been doing that a little bit more, and it's a big hit. Now, Nootbaar's at third, and I said to my daughter, who was standing in the room at the time, When Joel Pozo came to the plate, I said, they're going to take the lead here. He will get that runner home. If one thing Pozo can do, it's make contact. And he's had some big pinch hits. We've seen that. He's had some big plays where he's made contact and gotten the runner home. He rarely strikes out. He gives you a great at bat. He'll come cold off the bench and do it. He's the pinch hitter. Little did we know he would do this.
With one out, the pitch, the runner goes from first. There's a long one. Left field. It's a goner out of Wrigley Field. Joel Pozo with a pinch 3 home run. Unbelievable.
419 feet over the wall and onto Waveland Avenue. He launched it at a 34-degree angle. He hit it 105.9 off the bat. Joel Pozo, we're going to hear from him in just a little bit, with a tremendous home run, and the Cardinals take an 8-5 lead, and then the bullpen. They have to have it. JoJo Romero comes in, does his job, although Seiya Suzuki doubles off of him, and that ends up making it an 8-6 game. So things get a little tighter, although Pete Crow Armstrong grounded out. Again, he makes the final out of the inning, and we go to the ninth. Cardinals aren't able to add on. They're up 8-6. You turn the ball over to Ryan Helsley. Helsley gets Swanson to fly out to left. He gets Kelly to fly out to left. And the last chance, as Mike Shannon would say, old Abner has done it again, although all you had to do is get one more. You're up 2. Just get this guy. Forget it. Go at him. Go get him. Michael Busch facing Ryan Helsley.
From the stretch, the pitch on the way. Swing and a miss. That's a Redbird winner. Pumping his fist, Joel Pozo. He was able to tag Busch out, picking the ball out of the dirt. Pozo embraces Ryan Helsley. The Cardinals come out of the dugout and celebrate another comeback win on a Saturday. The Cardinals are 11-2 on Saturday. They're 4-1 in the Victory Blues.
That's a big-time win right there for the Cardinals. For 5.5 out in the NL Central, could have been 7.5 really easily. They win the game 8-6, and now they play an evening game where they can win the series. Eric Fetty's got to be much, much, much better. He'll be facing Matthew Boyd. We have it at 5:10, pregame at 4:15. Wanted to guide you through that in case you were out and about, in case you just got to see a little bit of the game. That is pretty much the story on Saturday in one of the great wins for the Cardinals this season. Had to have it, got it, and boy, would you like to get tonight. When we come back, Joel Pozo, Ollie Marmol, Matthew Liberatore, their comments in reaction to yesterday's win. I'm Tom Ackerman, sports on a Sunday morning from the Stiefel Sports Studio.
104.1 FM, KMOX, News, Talk, Sports.
We sell siding, windows, doors, and decking by the truckload. My name is Julius Krasanik, celebrating 53 years in this business. Our company is Wholesale Siding Depot, and our seasoned customer service group has over 200 years of combined siding, window, door, and decking knowledge. My grandson Elijah says,
"Are you kidding me?"
The brands that we sell are durable, maintenance-free, and energy-saving. Featuring Anderson, CertainTeed, Viwinco, Provia, Masonite, TimberTech, and others, offering the best selection of styles and colors available in this industry. And better yet, our prices are wholesale every day. Last, our Peace of Mind initiative also includes a free contractor referral service to take care of your installation concerns or needs. You are just one click away from keeping it local, family, and professional. Please visit WSDepot.com. That's WSDepot.com.
Hey guys, Glover here from my good friends at Ophthalmology Associates. So my doctor is Dr. Greg Birdie, and he's my doctor, and he is my friend. He is a very, very good, very thorough doctor. His longtime partner, Dr. Malhotra, Dr. Royer, Dr. Brisati, they are the doctor's doctors. Why do they call them this? Because about 250 local and regional doctors go to the doctor's doctors for their eye care. Now, are their eyes more important than yours? No, of course not. But it's a real indicator that they are legit when other doctors go to them when they could go anywhere in the world for their eye care. Whether you're there for a comprehensive exam or you're there for a surgical consultation on LASIK or cataracts, you're going to be treated with respect and professionalism every single time. Call 314-966-5000 or log on to youridoc.com. That's 314-966-5000 or your eyedoc.com for the fine doctors at Ophthalmology Associates and the Cornea and Laser Vision Institute. 314-966-5000 or your eyedoc.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Cards manager Ollie Marble joins the Gas House Gang every Tuesday at noon. Sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center on the voice of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM, KMOX. Now, back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning on 104.1 KMOX. From the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
Well, hope you enjoyed that. We don't do that very often, where we just stretch out and give you all the highlights of the previous game, especially when it's that good. Cardinals beat the Cubs yesterday 8-6. Joel Pozo with that 3-run bomb that is being talked about all throughout Cardinal Nation this morning. Let's hear from Pozo with our Mike Claiborne.
Well, here we are again, our player of the game, Joel Pozo. Once again, my friend, you seem to find time for the dramatics. Talk about that at bat, because first of all, it went deeper than you normally let it go.
I mean, great pitcher on the mound. He was running hard. I was trying to, get myself calm down. He threw me really good pitches. I was trying to put the ball in play like I always do. Don't do too much, and then trying to put the ball in the air, and then he handed the slider and I hit it.
And you hit it a long way. You knew you hit it well as soon as it left the bat. The only key was it going to stay fair?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it as soon as I saw the ball where the ball started, and then, celebrate with the team, because, this is a big series for us, and every series is big for us, but, win here in Chicago is special.
How much fun are you having right now with your career?
I mean, this is the best time of my career so far. I was here in 21, and, it was really good, good experience. But now that, I'm in this team that we're trying to go to the playoff and do what I'm doing is really special for me.
And for you, everybody roots for you. Everybody sees when you come out of the dugout with a bat in your hand, something good is going to happen. Walk me through what you were thinking as you were going to the plate, because as you mentioned, this is a pretty good pitcher. I know you saw the scouting report on him, but you obviously needed to make sure you could put it in play.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to do what the game was telling me to do. Man and third and first, don't put the ball on the dirt. Just trying to put it on the air, so I can at least do that sack fly, and then just go to the play and compete and try to do my best.
I'm liking these visits, man. It seems like we're doing it at least once a week.
Thank you.
Nice work today.
Thank you.
All right, Joel Pozo is our player of the game.
I'll take more of those. Thank you, Mike Claiborne, who had a nice interview with Joel Pozo on one of our pregames this week as well. The Cardinals win at 8-6 over the Cubs. The Pozo home run, it was a lot of fun for manager Oliver Marmol on FanDuel Sports Network Midwest.
Man, that went a long ways. Great at bat, obviously a big moment, but guy loves to hit, and I love watching him hit. He's done a nice job whenever he's called upon, but that's a big swing. And you look at yesterday's game, we get our teeth kicked in, so you have to come out here and set the tone and respond a certain way. I liked our first inning of being able to throw up a crooked number. You give up the lead, but you don't give in, and you come back with a big swing. So that's exactly what you want today to look like, especially after yesterday.
Back to Pozo. He's a guy with limited major league experience, and in key situations, you look at him, and it just looks like another at-bat.
It is. He doesn't scare. He loves it. And if you understand a little bit about his history, I mean, he's going to make the most of every moment. And he approaches every single day that way. So I love moments like that for him. That's a big swing and a big series. So
there have been 3 or 4 times this year maybe where things weren't going well, things looked bad, but your bunch found a way to dig out of it. What does a win like this say about the resiliency of your team to do it again?
Oh, no, we've talked about it. Our group does a nice job of just showing up and figuring out how do we win today. And we've gone through stretches that have been good. We've gone through stretches that have sucked, to be quite honest. But being able to attack the day for what it is and not pay attention to what the past looks like is important. This is a young group who's hungry, and they're going to get after it regardless of what's going on. And they continue to show that. But today's a perfect example, especially, yesterday was a tough day. So to come out today and set the tone was important.
Pozo worked that count full and then got a pitch down the middle. And he didn't miss when it's down the middle.
No, he doesn't miss. It doesn't matter if you bounce it. Gosh, I love that, obviously, for the moment itself, but for Pozo, and then, just seeing the dugout erupt was awesome.
Nobody didn't get some calls. Didn't look like they had his best up with the battle. How did you view his?
Exactly that. He battled. He didn't give in. There's some guys he didn't want to give in to, so it led to a couple walks, but for the most part, made pitches when he needed, even starting in the first. He had a lot of traffic, but navigated it well. Didn't get ahead as much as he would have liked, but still competed. Yeah.
Gorman going opposite for a home run and going the other way for a base hit. How big were his at-bats?
Those were huge. Those are professional at-bats, and kind of the next step for him is being able to do that. Not only the homers, but for him to take his single the other way there is a big part of that inning. The Newt bunt, we kind of manufactured that a little bit until Pozo comes up and drives the baseball.
As you said, the emotional swings in this game, you grind out and they come back and take the lead. And it looked like you weren't going to get Michael Busch out. He had 7 straight hits.
I feel you. Yeah.
Were you worried about that?
Worried about which part?
He was going to get out eventually.
I was hoping so, yeah. Yeah.
You have anything more on Nolan?
Not yet, no. I'm going to meet with AO here in a minute, but I know it was obviously enough for him not to be able to go today. So we'll take a deeper look and have an understanding if we're looking at day-to-day or anything beyond that.
Was it happened this morning?
No, it happened yesterday. He felt it on a swing, and I'll have a much better idea here as soon as we're done.
Yeah. That's the JC getting plugged in there and then coming through with the lead.
Yeah, the game will find you, that's for sure. So he comes up and drives in too early, which was awesome. We needed to kind of score first and get downhill, so it was nice.
And again, that's Ollie Marmol. Thanks to FanDuel Sports Network Midwest for feeding us that. And it sounded like a Chicago reporter. I didn't recognize the reporter asking about Michael Busch. Ollie just kind of deflected that one away. And then answered the Nolan Arenado question, which we all have, which we'll ask John Mozeliak about here in an hour, how he is doing. Arenado with a shoulder impingement, something that was really bothering him before the game, and so late scratch. So JC comes in, does the job, and the Cardinals win the ball game 8-6. Let's listen, Drew. Play me a little bit of Matthew Liberatore. This is the starter yesterday, Libby.
Sticky situations there in the first couple innings, and was able to do a good job of limiting the damage and not giving in, making pitches when I needed to get out of it. And offense did a great job of giving me another lead yet again, and then continuing to tack on after I came out of the game.
What do you think about how this game transpired in the last 4 games? It did feel a little bit of a grind, both on both sides of the ball, a lot of back and forth. But the resolve that this team has showed throughout the season, for it to come through again at a time where you guys needed it, you do a nice job of holding the score where it is. What does that do for the Cardinals coming off of 4 games that weren't necessarily great?
Yeah, I think, full season's full of ebbs and flows, and you can't expect to beat your best every single day. And, I think this team is really good when maybe we're not at our best, and we do have to grind a little. And you can tell that there's no give in from the guys, even when we haven't scored a bunch recently or maybe haven't thrown the ball well recently. I think everybody shows up to the park the next day with the mentality that we're going to win this game, and we always got a shot.
That's well said right there by Matthew Liberatore. That's a good way to wrap it up. He's a wise young man, and he talked very succinctly, I thought, there about how the Cardinals are. They're a bunch of scrappers. They've just figured out, kind of like me on the golf course, Drew. I'm best when I'm shooting back into the fairway out of the woods and getting myself in position. I just scramble out there. But the Cardinals find a way, don't they? We'll see if they can find a way tonight. They're going to have to be at their best. Eric Fetty's on the mound and Matthew Boyd's on the other side. When we come back on the other side of this break, Chris Blair, General Manager, Worldwide Technology Raceway on KMOX.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. With thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust us to bring happiness home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Bill Wamsley interviews Chad and Lisa. This property, for you to have done what you've done, won the award, changed it around, done all the re-up, has got to be worth a lot more.
We purchased it for $8.275, and it's worth $19 million now. So
Wait, whoa. That is incredible. I can see why you won an award, and that's great.
Lifestyles Unlimited. Over 33 years teaching the real estate retirement roadmap. Text the word radio to 88007 for a $297 membership. Save $443 off the regular price. Text radio to 88007.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. Did you know that McKelvey builds custom homes on individual sites throughout the metropolitan area? We have sites in prime locations from Rock Hill to Wildwood, including several in the coveted Ladue School District. Experience why many have chosen McKelvey Homes with our legendary quality and personalized service to build their dream home. Visit our newly completed Turnberry at 19 Beaver Drive, just north of Ladue and east of Lindbergh. It is loaded with features and now open. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Attention, have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-207-4545. That's 800-207-4545. Once again, that's 800-207-4545.
KMOX Weekend at your service, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Now, back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning on 104.1 KMOX. From the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
Brad Keselowski joins us on KMOX testing at Worldwide Technology Raceway for the Enjoy Illinois 300. How'd it go?
Good. Long day. It's really hot here in the St. Louis area, but the tests that we do are really for two purposes. It's to make sure the tire and the track combination is right, and two, to help our team when it performs for the race when we come back here in a few months. So we're certainly checking those boxes and feeling really confident when we come back.
You have a great history here. Take me back to your first times coming here.
Yeah, I remember my first race here in 2004, which was a real thrill. This track is so unique. It's got its own feel to it, the way it drives. The two ends are completely different, and from above it looks like a really simple oval, but in the race cars it's anything but that. Very challenging to get the cars or trucks to drive well, and you really got to kind of manhandle them.
And then the pit strategy, which last year you got very close. I mean, you finished third, and obviously you liked what was going on there.
Yeah, we had a shot to win last year and had a few issues that put us behind, and recovered really well towards the end of the race, and that was a fun race for us.
It is a long season, but it ends for a select few in the playoffs. Can you describe to fans here who will experience this for the first time what that's like?
Yeah, NASCAR's version of the playoffs is a little different than other versions, but ultimately, every 3 weeks that the field kind of shrinks, and last thing you want to be is looking from the outside in. So with this race being one of those events that shrinks the field, there's always a little extra pressure.
Appreciate the time.
You're welcome.
That is Brad Keselowski. Also had a chance to talk to Kyle Larson, one of the best in the business. Kyle, you were part of the announcement back when they announced that a cup race was coming here. You know Curtis and Chris and everybody well. Can you describe how far they've come, the momentum that they've built here?
Yeah, I just think, this place is, it definitely deserves a Cup Series race. I feel like the fan base here in the Midwest is amazing. They like all forms of racing, but especially NASCAR. And, the stands are packed here, even when the weather hasn't been that perfect, in the past. So I think moving it later in the year, the weather should be even better, and the crowd should be, even much more or that much more lively. So yeah, I look forward to it, and yeah, I think it's good for our sport to be here in St. Louis.
Good to hear from Kyle Larson. Brad Keselowski, pretty good endorsement for the Executive Vice President, General Manager of Worldwide Technology Raceway. Chris Blair, how are you, Chris?
Good morning, Tom. I'm doing great. It's we're 2 months out as of today for the return of Xfinity, so the countdown clock is on.
Yes, we are. Good to hear from those guys. You were there for their testing at the track, and it's always nice to hear from two of the giants of the sport talking about your track.
Yeah, it really is. Brad's been there for so many years and been part of so many historical finishes there, and it's great to see him come back and be excited about racing here in St. Louis. And then too with Kyle, and Kyle admits this isn't one of his better tracks, but he got so many laps in the other day during that test session. I think he's going to be pretty much dialed in by the time the race actually rolls around, because he was in the car all day long for 2 days, and he was just making lap after lap. So I'm sure he learned a lot of things about how to get around this racetrack.
Those two, Brad Keselowski and Kyle Larson, are right next to each other, different rows, but in positions next to each other in the Grant Park 165 today, the street race in Chicago, a unique situation. I know that they have street races among the circuits, but this one to NASCAR creates a lot of buzz, doesn't it?
It sure does, and it's really it kind of put NASCAR on more of a global stage when you start to see it just showcased their versatility. That's been one of the things that people for so long thought you had to have that brick and mortar racetrack that you're all there all year round. And then you take a look at what NASCAR did at the Clash at the Coliseum, when they transformed the LA Coliseum into a racetrack, and what they're doing with this street race. And then there's lots of rumors going around that there might be some other street races in the future as things bounce around. So I think it's good for the sport. That way they can kind of plant their flag in certain cities and really be able to do some things really special. And you might be even somewhere down the road see a combo race between a couple of those series like NASCAR and IndyCar or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I think it's good for the sport. And it's good for the Midwest too. If we keep building this fan base, now with 2 races in the state of Illinois, that can only help things as we get more and more people ingrained in NASCAR.
That's right. The Enjoy Illinois 300, your race is 2 months away, September 7th at Worldwide Technology Raceway, Madison, Illinois, right here in the St. Louis area. In Chicago, I was listening to Denny Hamlin's press conference, and he was asked about future street races and discussed that situation, but also the opportunity for branding. He said they had one partner activation at the yacht club, and then they were going to go over to the Jordan brand party. And, he's involved, of course, as we all know, with Michael Jordan. There's a lot of people still putting their name on these NASCAR teams, and who knows what the future is, but I think that is part of it right there. Just expanding the audience as best you can.
Well, and that's one of the good things when you take a look at what they're doing there. They're taking it to downtown Chicago. When you come to St. Louis, you're near downtown St. Louis, but the majority of the other races around the country, with probably the exception of Indianapolis, everything else, they'll say it's in a particular town, but it's really 50 miles outside of town. So having the ability to do those activations at the center of businesses, at the center of the sponsorships, really getting to engage the community, it makes it a whole lot easier than trying to load everybody up on buses and ship them out to be a part of something. So there's a lot of positives that can be made from being close to downtown, right in the center of the action.
You heard me ask Kyle Larson there about being our guest for that opening kickoff at Ballpark Village when we announced that the Cup race was coming to St. Louis. And ever since then, boy, he's been good to you, hasn't he? Signing autographs, Ballpark Village, people have come by. I know you have a lot of things planned that you're going to be announcing here pretty soon as we're 2 months out.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things about a lot of these drivers. We've got a core group of drivers that they cut their teeth racing around here, racing at tracks like Little Belleville or Tri-City Speedway or Peevely, the 55 Speedway with the World of Outlaws. And, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman. There's so many of these guys that they raced around here. Tyler Reddick, he actually lived in southern Illinois when he was racing dirt late models a few years ago. So this is home for a lot of those guys, and they want to be able to reconnect with that fan base that made them what they are. And that's one of the reasons they love coming here, is because we also, we're race fans too, and we love those short tracks, and we try to engage with all those fans. That's something some of the other tracks haven't done. And so those drivers love helping us out and hopping in and participating in all those different activities.
That is going to be a playoff race in St. Louis. Can I hear from your perspective what the importance to fans who might not realize why this is so heightened now and having a playoff race in St. Louis and what that means for the drivers.
Well, if you're, for the common or for the casual fan or the person who's just new to NASCAR, if you were to come to our race in June of last year, everybody, when they were racing in that race, they knew that they had several other chances. I think they still had 9 other chances after our race to earn their spot in the playoffs. Well, what happens when you make it to the playoff rounds, every 3 races, they're cutting somebody out of the mix. It's basically either win or go home. So it takes that intensity level. It's kind of like what you see in the month of September with baseball. If the team still has a chance, they're making all those bold moves and the dive moves and everything they've got to do to get to that next level. And it's the same way with NASCAR. You're basically taking that intensity level and cranking it to 11 because you got to be able to go fast or go home. And that's basically the situation it puts them in. And so you're going to see incredible racing all over the racetrack from the start to the finish. There's no laying back and waiting. You have to go.
And then finally, Chris, in my partnership with you, and ever since I've known you, you and Curtis and your great crew have made this an event. It's not just a race, and the race itself is awesome. The guys love driving, as Brad said, that tight 1 and 2 and a little more open 3 and 4. It's a different kind of oval, but you're trying to make it a different kind of event for St. Louis, kind of everything all wrapped into one: food, music, and racing.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things about the partnership of Worldwide Technology and David Stewart and the Stewart Family Foundation. David saw this event as an opportunity to really showcase the area. So they came up with the Confluence Music Festival. And over the course of the next couple of weeks, I think we're going to make our first announcement this Tuesday about the musical acts that we're going to have. The last couple of years, we've had about 30 acts on 5 different stages throughout the weekend. So we've got that and so many other engagement pieces with Worldwide Technology and with some of our other sponsors where fans can really get that immersive experience in the fan zone and things like that. So we really have, people saw what we did here, and you're starting to see that in some of the other places. They're taking some of the ideas. We've become the test lab for a lot of other events, and they're turning this into this festival atmosphere. And, we've got some more great things coming. Everybody's excited about it. And each year, Dave and his team have a tremendous amount of enthusiasm for this. And just when we think that they're satisfied, they come in and they crank it up a notch. So we're going to be having some great announcements coming up about all the great things that are going to be going on that are included with the race ticket to the event.
That's awesome. That's going to be September 6th and 7th. It really starts on Friday, September 5th. The race is September 7th, but you mentioned Xfinity is on the 6th, and so much going on during that weekend. By the way, the Cardinals are in town that weekend. They're taking on the Giants, so there will be a lot of opportunity to do some things sports-wise downtown and 5 minutes away at Worldwide Technology Raceway in Madison, Illinois. It's going to be big time, and that's the weekend after Labor Day. Remember, folks, Labor Day weekend actually starts August 30th this year. Labor Day is September 1st, so it's the weekend after Labor Day weekend is the NASCAR Cup race, the Enjoy Illinois 300 here in St. Louis. Appreciate you, Chris. Good to be with you, and enjoy the race in Chicago. We'll all be watching.
All right, Tom. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Chris Blair with us on KMOX Sports on a Sunday morning. When we come back, Doug Armstrong, Blues general manager, breaking down the latest moves by the team. I thought they had a pretty good week, actually. Back in a moment on KMOX.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey in studio with Gloria Liu, broker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and St. Louis's real estate expert. Gloria, while most agents make big promises, you're known for your upfront written guarantees.
My name is My Promise. While many agents promise you an unrealistic sales price just to get your business, I'll provide you with an upfront written guarantee stating if I cannot sell your home for 100% market value, I'll pay you the difference.
Gloria, that's what sets you apart from others and why I recommend you. Folks, why risk working with just any agent when you can work with the best? Gloria Liu guarantees your sale price upfront and in writing.
Absolutely. And if I don't, I will pay you the difference. The agent you choose in this changing market matters and could cost you or make you thousands.
Sell your home with certainty, confidence, and for 100% of market value, or Gloria will pay you the difference. Call 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
2 legendary bands, 1 epic night, collective soul, and live by bringing the rock to St. Louis. Catch
Cancer Summer Unity Tour at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, July 17th. With special guest Braylon James Rue. Don't miss your chance to hear such hits as Shine, December, I Alone, and All Over You. Collective Soul, and Live. Tickets can be found at Ticketmaster.com. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. This is National Cancer Survivor Awareness Month, and we are joined by Dr. Lindsay Peterson.
Their emotional needs, they are financial needs, they are physical needs, spiritual needs. So really, we have to look to address all of these different areas because they can be quite impactful for patients throughout their journey.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
Summer is here. Time to enjoy baseball, barbecues, and the shade of your trees. When it comes to tree care, call the certified arborist at Gamma Tree Experts. Hi, I'm Tim Gamma. Protect your valuable trees from storm damage or devastating insects such as the emerald ash borer. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. For pruning, spraying, fertilization, or removals, call Gamma Tree Experts today at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
Now, back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning on 104.1 KMOX. From the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
Well, the Blues had a pretty good week, I would say. They ended up making the deal, Zach Bolduc for Logan Mailloux. Now, we'll see if Mailloux ends up being the defenseman. They hope top 4 defenseman. He's young. He's got some size. He's more, I'd say, offensively skilled at this point in terms of his reputation than defensive-minded, although he's gotten better at that. He is somebody you can put on the power play. They really like him. Mailloux had to give up a good one in Bolduc to swap 22-year-olds. But we'll see what happens there. Then they get Nick Bjugstad, who basically replaces Radek Faksa as a fourth-line center. Still in search of their second-line center. He could be on third line, second line. I think he's pretty good. It's P.S. Suter, who played for the Vancouver Canucks last year and scored 25 goals. Sort of had a breakout of his career. They like him a lot. Here's GM Doug Armstrong.
Just his versatility. I think, he had obviously a very good offensive year, his best goal scoring year, but we think that he can come in here and provide us depth at the center ice position. He and Bjugstad certainly change our center ice complexion, have 5 natural centers now with Shen there and Sonny. So there's going to be some options, and it's always easier to move a centerman over to the wing than a wing to center. So we like our depth there, and we think he can either play with Holloway and Kyra if that's what the coach wants to do, or he's very versatile and it's going to give us some options and coach some options during training camp.
Was he somebody you've been looking at for a while, or did it develop pretty quickly here?
He was on our list of centermen to discuss, and then when the market hit, we really connected hard on the night of the first. Then we had we did our due diligence with him. He did with us. We had a conversation on the second with the coach and the player and myself, talking about the city, talking about his role, and he felt very comfortable. And I think it's a great opportunity for him. He's still young. It's a 2-year deal. We were, if we want to start the season with Krug on our roster, and not go into summer LTI. It was only X amount of dollars that we had. We can accomplish that now. And we're excited. With the caveat, it only takes one phone call, but I would say our roster is pretty well set now.
When you look at Suter's overall game, I think his defensive metrics are pretty good. His penalty killing numbers are there. What led to his offensive boost this past year, you think?
I think opportunity. We talked to, as I said, I don't want to say who we talked to, but our guys are well connected around the league. That's the fortunate part of having so many ex-players there. They have contacts, and I think he was asked to do a bigger role in Vancouver this year, and he took that responsibility. And his shooting percentage was high too; it was 18%. But we didn't look at that as the sole reason as a goal scorer to bring him in. It's just his 200-foot game. He's going to give us options, and our penalty killing hasn't been where it needs to be, and he's another certainly strong option now to lead that group.
And talk about his shooting percentage, and it seems like a lot of that has to do with in and around the net, something I'm sure that as an organization you're going to like.
We would love to start not start. Good teams win battles in front of their net and the opposition's net. That's where the grime is worked out, and he's willing to go there. And on the back end, bringing in Mayu, we're a little bit thicker and bigger back there too, and so we're just trying to get as accomplished as we can in the harder areas of the ice.
When free agency opens, he was probably one of the top 2 centers on the market there. I think a lot of people probably expected maybe a longer term, maybe a bigger cap hit. It's going to sound goofy, but why do you think you're able to get him at this contract that you guys did?
Well, I think that was a conversation with the coach. It's the ability to bank another solid season. The cap is going to, when he's free, I think the cap's going to be $113 million, and he's going to be still relatively young. And so it's an investment in his future. He's making an investment in himself to come in here and play an important role. And then whether it's next summer or at some point in the future, we're going to be able to talk to him about a longer term deal. And the more layers you have of success, the more likely you are to get paid. And I think we provide the opportunity for him to maximize his earning potential. And I think he sees that. Now, our job is to provide that for him, and his job is to take advantage of it.
You get the sense that they were comfortable right from the get-go with the shorter term, I guess.
I think they were comfortable because, at the dollar value that we could offer, it didn't make an economic sense for him to go long term with the cap going up. And what we think his ability is to improve. And centermen it's a hard, as you see, that market is thin. Whatever the market is on next year's free agents, I guarantee you they won't all be there. So again, we're happy to get our center ice in position, and I think it's going to be great for a player like Dvorsky. He can come in now as if he's having trouble in the middle of the ice. He can start on our team as a wing. We don't have to force feed him into an area, and then over time he'll take over one of those jobs. And there's going to be great competition. He certainly has the opportunity to come in and make our team. When I say our team is set, you look at our roster now. The number of players that we have are 23 players. But what's sort of lost on it is if Stenberg or Stancil or Pekarik or Dean or Dvorsky, obviously I've talked about, come in, it's actually a savings for us if we put them on our team and send someone to the minors, because we get around $1.1 million in relief. So it's not the owner likes having those guys in the minors. That's one thing, but from a team perspective, there's going to be great competition, and what we don't have to do is rush those players. Sort of when I look at this from 30,000 feet, this is the year of the young defenseman. Young meaning not experienced defenseman. On the Blues right now, you have Tucker is going to get an opportunity to be a full-time player. Mayu is going to get an opportunity to be a full-time player. Kessel's in that group. Broberg just turned 24. And you look at that forward group, they're probably a year away. When you have all those guys, you have Stenberg, Stancil, Pekarik, Dvorsky really at 20, all turning pro. We're going to let them have the opportunity to get their foundation and footing under them. Now, if they come in and take a job, great. But I would say next year at this time, there's going to be a great opportunity to input a lot of younger forwards. And again, I do believe that getting that foundation is so important for the player and the organization than force feeding him into an area where maybe they can't have success. And I think we protected ourselves from having to do that while allowing them the right to come in and take a job.
With Lighty, we saw him get claimed by San Jose. I just wanted to ask what went into putting them on waivers in the first place yesterday. Well,
it was just it became a numbers game. One of the things too is the coach who selects who goes over the boards is a big Tucker fan. He's a big Tucker fan. He thought that that's an element that our team, when he's on the ice, when he's playing, we're harder to play against. And I think as a group, he likes that. So if he was going to take that slot in our six, it made sense to name that opportunity. Now, there's risk involved with that, obviously. Nick's an experienced player, has had a very good career. Will go to San Jose and do very well. But you have to create space if you want to give ice time away, and that was one way to do that.
Did you try to work out a trade there?
Yeah, we did. not just St. Louis, but no player has put on waivers without everyone knowing what's, that we have our inner circle. You have a pretty good feel of where everyone's at. And I contacted the teams that his preferred destination to go to. And at the end of the day, the best course of action was waivers.
Always great insight from Doug Armstrong, the Blues general manager, talking about Nick Leddy right there, who was placed on waivers, snapped up by the San Jose Sharks. So the Blues save $4 million in cap space there. When we come back, the man who runs the Cardinals baseball operations, John Mozeliak, he has a trade deadline coming up soon. The Cardinals have a game coming up soon. 5:10 start, 4:15 pregame. Next hour, Lutz Pfannenstiel, the sporting director for St. Louis City SC at 11:15. John Mozeliak at 11:30. Bernie Miklasz at 11:45. This is Sports on a Sunday Morning with producer Drew Young. I'm Tom Ackerman from the Stiefel Sports Studio.
Dive into adventure this summer at the St. Louis Aquarium's Summer of the Shark. Get face to fin with some of the ocean's most awe-inspiring creatures in shark-themed exhibits, jaw-dropping displays, and interactive experiences for the whole family. Whether you're a fin-tastic fan or just curious, there's hands-on fun and fascinating facts around every corner at the St. Louis Aquarium. Don't miss your chance to make a splash. Plan your visit today at STLouisUnionStation.com. That's STLouisUnionStation.com.
KMOX and 97.1 FM Talk are proud to support the first ever Brendan Donovan Charity Clay Shoot, happening Thursday, August 7th at Straffleman Farms Club in Weldon Spring. Join Cardinal standout Brendan Donovan, teammates, and local celebrities for a day of clay shooting in community, all to benefit Team Red, White, and Blue, and their mission to support veterans' health and wellness. Sponsorships and shooter spots are going fast. Visit teamrwb.org/Donovan now to sign up. Show your support and make a difference for those who have served.
Hey Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew, so here we go. First day on the job. We've got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go.
Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Linda Kenyon. Tragedy in Texas following flash flooding, with Kerr County the hardest hit.
As of 9 a.m. this morning, we've recorded 59 deceased in Kerr County. Among those who are deceased, we have 38 adults and 21 children.
Sheriff Larry Letha giving that update this morning. Kerrville City Manager Dalton Rice also at that briefing.
Everyone in the community is hurting.
Rice says rescue and recovery operations are far from over.
Search operations continue. Starting about 0600 this morning, we started putting boots on the ground. We have increased our number of personnel that are navigating the really challenging shores along the bank line, but we are continuing to make progress from west to east as we continue operations.
President Trump has signed a major disaster declaration for Kerr County, Texas. Tropical storm Chantal is bringing heavy rains across parts of the Carolinas. Meteorologist Allison Santarelli is with the Weather Prediction Center.
This area has been pretty dry as of late, so we're not expecting any major or widespread flash flooding issues, but certainly looking at an elevated risk for flooding and flash flooding, and certainly localized impacts in some locations.
The storm made landfall early today and is moving inland. President Trump's pause in trade tariffs will end this week. The head of the National Economic Council says the pause was meant to give time for negotiations.
On trade, there's going to be quite a bit of news this week, and I think the headline of the news is that there are going to be deals that are finalized. There are a whole number that Jameson Greer has negotiated with foreign governments. And then there are going to be letters that are sent to countries saying, here's how we think it ought to go, because the deals aren't advanced enough.
Kevin Hassett on CBS's Face the Nation. 8 men deported from the United States in May and held under guard for weeks at an American military base in the African nation of Djibouti are now in South Sudan. The State Department advises against travel to South Sudan, citing crime, kidnapping, and armed conflict. The deportees had challenged their removal to a third nation. They are from countries including Cuba, Laos, Mexico, Myanmar, and Vietnam. An Israeli negotiating team travels to Qatar today for indirect talks with Hamas over a 60-day ceasefire.
The outline of the ceasefire deal would see about half of the 20 remaining living hostages freed over 5 stages during 60 days. During that time, Israel will withdraw from most of Gaza, and large amounts of humanitarian aid will flow into the Strip. The renewed talks come as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meets President Trump.
That's reporter Linda Gradstein, CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At 11:03, it's mostly sunny and 90 degrees downtown at the Gateway Arch. Good morning, I'm Scott Jagow. Our top story this hour, several injuries reported after a small-town fireworks display went off prematurely.
This is a fireworks display turned to chaos in the small town of Leadwood, about an hour south of St. Louis. Leadwood Fire Protection District Chief Charlie Lewis tells KMOX what caused the explosion.
He had one, I guess, didn't get enough elevation or something hot, fell into the barrel that he had all of his mortars in. And once it fell in and they started to go off, it just went off like a large stick of dynamite.
Lewis says in total, 6 were injured. 5 suffered minor first or second degree burns. The 6th was an elderly woman who fell and struck her head while trying to flee the chaos. The fireworks show is put on by a private individual for Leadwood residents, allowing them to watch in a neighboring park. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
4th of July night is always busy for St. Louis City firefighters, but this year especially so.
Fire Chief Dennis Jinkerson says he wishes people would celebrate responsibly without explosives, without fire, and without risk to neighbors. The St. Louis Fire Department call count was about the same as last year's, 631, but Jinkerson says it was the number of illegal fireworks-related fires that rose sharply, up 61% to 140. He says this year's data indicates how quickly celebrations can turn into emergencies and strain the department's resources. Brad Choate, KMOX News.
This weekend, Elon Musk vowed to move ahead with the creation of a third political party. He's calling it the America Party. KMOX political analyst Hancock and Kelly think it'll be tall mountain to climb. Here's Republican John Hancock.
You can't just create a political party out of whole cloth. The closest we've come in our lifetimes was Ross Perot and the Reform Party. He had one competitive cycle, competitive. He got 19% of the vote for president. But you build a political party from the ground up.
But Democrat Michael Kelly says the world's richest man isn't starting from the ground.
Well, the one key thing, though, that Elon Musk brings to that fight is resources, and that's something that's lacked for third parties in the past.
Hancock and Kelly agree extremism in the political system has created a desire for alternatives, but they believe the answers will be found in the two parties that already exist. Mix of clouds and sun today. We could have some thunderstorms later on, maybe a couple severe. High today around where we are now, about 90 degrees. Overnight, 73, humid. Tomorrow, 89, maybe a storm. Kind of the same deal on Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now, it's 90 in St. Peters, 88 in Florissant, and 90 downtown at the Arch. I'm Scott Jagow, KMOX News.
From KMOX Sports, this is the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. Now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
Welcome back to the show. We will have Lutz, Pfannenstiel coming up in 9 minutes at 11:15. At 11:30, John Mozeliak. At 11:45, Bernie Miklasz. That's a consistent 11 o'clock hour. Those three know their slots, and that's where we put them. And when they say yes, we appreciate it. So they are all in today, 10 o'clock hour. We went down the rabbit hole of Saturday's game, the Cardinals beating the Cubs 8-6. Finally, some bright light after just a miserable time losing that game on Friday, getting shellacked, getting shut out by the Pirates. This has just been such a strange season. They started out poorly in April, and I kind of dropped my expectations for them. I'm just going to watch this team develop, and I'm just done thinking about it. They're going to go win a world championship. I just, it is what it is. And then in May, they go 19-8. You're starting to feel good about them. Then they go 4-10. They flop at the start of June. Then they come back and they play the Cubs and they win the first two of the series. And then, in the middle of all that, we know they had taken down the Dodgers and all that. But they had lost some games. It's just back and forth and back and forth. So maybe we should have known that they would drop the next two to the Cubs and get shut out both times, then go to Cleveland and dominate them, then get blanked 3 times in a row by the Pirates, then get absolutely destroyed by the Cubs on Friday, and coming back and winning a crazy game yesterday. If they could pull a rabbit out of the hat and win this series today and beat the Cubs, that would be a nice way to get going here before the All-Star break. And then you have to figure out if you're a player at the trade deadline or not. Still a few weeks to go. John Mozeliak is with us at 11:30. But it was fun to recap that. Thanks to Kyle Larson and Brad Keselowski and Chris Blair to talk NASCAR with us in the 10:30 portion of the show. We heard from Doug Armstrong at 10:45 when he was talking to reporters about everything that they've done so far in the offseason. Really insightful stuff. If you want to go back and listen to any of it, Sports on a Sunday Morning podcast, just keep it in your car, on your device, and listen to it at your leisure. You can always download the Sports on a Sunday Morning podcast, but I would just go and subscribe to it. People certainly find it to be useful, I would say. Going back, sometimes you have to go to church or you're with family this morning and you're not able to listen to the show live. So it's just a way to do it. You can use the Odyssey app for that as well. There's a lot going on right now. So the Cardinals play tonight at 5:10, 4:15 pregame from Wrigley Field right here on KMOX. The NASCAR race that we were talking about, the Grant Park 165, is going to be on TNT today at 2 o'clock. Also in the state of Illinois, the John Deere Classic is going on, so we'll be keeping an eye on what's going on there on the PGA Tour. One more major to go, and that is the Open Championship. As the U.S. Open produced a surprising winner in J.J. Spawn, I wonder what the Open is going to give us. Will this be finally a chance for Rory McIlroy to come roaring back after his tremendous Masters win? It looked like he was just off his game except for the end. When Oakmont got just about everybody, Rory had a final round, a really good one. The Open Championship coming up for him is in his home country of Ireland. So I'll be very curious to see what takes place there. We also are watching the start of college football buzz. I think that Illinois is going to be good. I think Missouri could be good. There's no doubt that they have the gauntlet of the SEC schedule every year, and Illinois has to deal with the Big Ten. I feel like Illinois is on the rise. Missouri has found ways to win games. And will Bo Pribula or Sam Horn be the quarterback? Who is going to take charge there? That's an interesting thing to watch, no doubt about it. Wimbledon is going on right now. Center court has been active. There is going to be a lot to be determined here in the next week. The finals are next weekend. So right now we're talking about the quarterfinals of Wimbledon. There's just so much to cover in the summer, and soon the NFL will get their training camps going and all that good stuff goes on. So it's a fun time of year, but baseball kind of dominates right now. And before we get to Lutz Pfannenstiel and what happened to City last night, a 3-2 loss to Real Salt Lake, I thought I'd update you on the baseball postseason situation right now. So if you recall, there will be 3 wild cards from each league, in addition to 3 division winners. So there will be 12 teams that make the postseason. This is something they did a few years ago, revamping this postseason alignment for both teams. So the top 2 division winners in each league receive byes to the division series, just to remind you. The other 4 teams in each league play a best of 3 wild card series. The higher seed will host all 3 games. So the lesser of the division winners, so right now that team would be the Phillies. They would host a wild card team and host all 3 games in a best of 3. And then the number 1 wild card team would host the number 2 wild card team, which is Milwaukee. So the Mets would host Milwaukee for all 3. And then the Phillies would host the number 3 wild card. And that currently is a 3-way tie between the Padres, the Giants, and the Cardinals. Now, if I'm the Cardinals, I don't want to get involved in all that. I want to win the division. Don't get into a situation where you got to battle all these teams for a wild card spot. They're a long way from that right now. They're 5.5 out. There's still a big climb to make here, and you got to beat the Cubs today to at least get yourself to 4.5 and start to have a chance at that. I know that some people are pointing to the Cardinals' schedule in the second half. Look, they just got swept by the Pirates and got shut out in all 3 games. So I don't care who they're playing. They seem to play well sometimes against the good teams and sometimes not so well against the bad teams. So I have no clue. This Cardinals team has just been one of those strange seasons. So let's not go there. Let's just hope that the Cardinals can figure out ways to win series. They've been kind of wobbly here, but they have found a way yesterday to win a ball game, and they're going to have to do the same today. Are they built to be a division champion? You know, if their rotation isn't where it needs to be, then no. Then right now they have 3 starters and 2 that are really struggling, and one of them's going tonight. So this is Eric Fetty's chance to try to turn things around. The NL East, I mentioned the Phillies lead the Mets by a half game. Everybody else is out of it. Marlins, Braves, Nationals, you can forget about it. They're all done. Marlins are 7 games under 500. The Braves are 10 games under 500. What a terrible season for them. Washington is out of it as well. In the West, the Dodgers are dominating right now. They're 8 games in front of the Padres and the Giants, who look to be vying for a wild card spot along with either the Phillies or Mets. And I mentioned the Brewers, Cubs, Cardinals in the NL Central. The American League East, you know who's leading that right now and just cruising right now? The Toronto Blue Jays. They have a 3-game lead on the Yankees. The Blue Jays have won 7 in a row. The Yankees have lost 6 in a row. They are just falling apart, and the Mets have been beating them up. Pete Alonso had a big day yesterday in that Subway Series win for the Mets over the New York Yankees. He homered twice and drove in 5 runs. Brandon Nimmo had a grand slam. Mets battered the Yankees 12-6. If you recall, I said I'm picking the Mets to win the World Series. They were just terrible here at the start of June, but they're starting to come alive again. And then in the American League, the other teams involved, the Rays, they're 7 games over. They're in it, 3 games back along with the Yankees in the AL East. The AL Central, it's a runaway for the Tigers. No other team above 500. The Tigers crushing the competition, 12.5 games up in the Central over the Twins. And in the West, it's all Astros, 7 games ahead of the Mariners in the AL West. They've emerged as one of the best teams in baseball, the Houston Astros, after a rocky start. The American League wildcard situation has the Yankees and Rays owning the top 2 spots, with Seattle currently sitting in spot number 3. And it's a much clearer picture there. The Red Sox are 2.5 out of that last wildcard spot, and they're a 500 club. We'll take a break. We'll talk to Lutz Pfannenstiel, sporting director for City, next on KMOX.
Concerned about where your retirement is heading? Is it on track to meet your needs and goals? Are taxes and inflation a constant worry? Well, you can join Jerry Means for What Retirement Means to You, powered by Means Financial Group, and find out how their team can help guide you to that retirement you've always dreamed of. Tune into What Retirement Means to You with Jerry Means, Saturdays at 3 on KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. More details at meansfinancialgroup.com.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley telling you about i3 Broadband. You've heard me talk about them. They provide the internet in my home. I love them so much. The reliability is great. Let's talk about price for a moment, though. They've got an introductory rate at $19.99 a month for one of their service options. No bundle ever required. You're going to save $10 a month over the cable company. They've got great pricing on all of their different packages, going up to 8 gigs upload and download speed, always mirrored. See if they're available in your neighborhood. Put your address in at i3broadband.com.
You are a successful electrical contractor, but you plus a dedicated team supporting your project from day one? That's taking your productivity to the next level. And Graybar can help you get there. Your relationships plus our relationships. Your capabilities plus our job site services. Your challenges plus our technical specialists. You alone can get the job done, but you plus Graybar, that's smart business. Yep, Graybar does that.
Lifestyles Unlimited, the education and mentoring group with a roadmap and support to help you real estate retire.
Having the consulting team, having other avenues within your whole system is what's made y'all successful. Everyone is there to guide you to be successful. So it's just up to you to get off the butt and do it.
Do it. Take action today. Get educated now at Lifestyles Unlimited. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for $297, a 60% savings. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007.
Now, back to the Graybar Sports on a Sunday morning on 104.1 KMOX. From the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
Welcome back. We are joined by the sporting director for St. Louis City SC, and that's Lutz Pfannenstiel. His team lost to Real Salt Lake in a wild game last night. Final score was 3-2. Good morning, Lutz, and thanks as always for the visit.
Good morning, Tom.
That was a tough one, I know. A goal scored right away in the 6th minute. They were up 2-0 at half. Klaus gave you the goal to make it 2-1, but then just unable to capture things from there. How would you describe how that game went?
To be honest, not a great first half. I think, the moments, the timing when we conceded very early on and then just before halftime was difficult to rebound. So that was a bad start for us. I think we created a few good chances in the first half as well, but defensively we didn't look great. I think the 2 goals they scored were 2 absolute bangers. To be honest, I mean the first goal was an absolute blinder. I think no goalkeeper in the world would have probably been close to that one, and even the second goal was pretty well taken. I think it was a good halftime talk by David Critchley and the coaching staff, and I think we came out pretty good. The goal from a set piece, a header from Klaus, I think put us back into the game, and I think it was when I went back and forth for quite a few minutes till then again we got caught on that counter attack, and it was a bit unfortunate by Josh Yarrow, not really easy to defend. It's kind of he gets there first, and he might do an own goal, or he doesn't get there and the striker was right behind him, would have probably scored it. But then again, I think the moral was good, the attitude was good. We came back again from a set piece, and I think that last moment when we had another big chance by Klaus, who just missed that header on the back post, I think it would have been great for the boys to pick up that point. I agree, it was a bit wild, considering we had to play without any of our center backs and sixes. There's 8 players out, so it was again a complete new back line, and it's always difficult to get the boys together over the week. Like Michael Wenzel, who started last week, also on a very short notice, couldn't travel because of some slight injury, and it just made things difficult. But yeah, in the end of the day, it's another loss, and we need to win games. There was some positives. To be fair, we had. With Hazil Orozco, a young player from our second team starting. We had 2 of our homegrown players, Tyson Pierce and Mackay Joyner, coming on. I think that was good that the kids got some time out there as well. And looking forward now to the next home game again after being away.
How did you think Orozco looked in particular?
I think he looked well. It was for him a special game. being a homegrown player for Salt Lake. So having his debut for us in a place where he played all his academy and also some second team and first team games. So he defended well. He's not a left back. He's a center back or maybe a right back or maybe a six. I think it was his second game in his life. He had to play as a left back, but I think he handled it really well and scoring a goal, which was, well, I mean, a bit of an accident, but still he was the one who scored it from that set piece. Definitely gave him a good debut.
City 2's got some talent, doesn't it? I mean, they're going to play tonight in Salt Lake. They're on a 6-game winning streak, Lutz, second place in the MLS Next Pro standings.
Yeah, I think we are first in the Western Conference. You know, 7th win in a row possible tonight against Real Monarchs, which is I would say a decent team. But I think you know, we really appreciate the job John Hackworth have done there so far to come in, doing his job as a technical director, helping him now with the transfer window and coaching this team as well. So a big thank you there to John Hackworth. I mean, he knows the team well, he knows the boys well, but also Dale Shilley who stepped up to help us, and Sean Reynolds from the academy. So it was the typical domino effect. You know, when David Critchley moved up with Baggio to coach the first team, we need to cover. And I think we wanted to do it internally. And I think the boys doing a great job on the field, but the new set coaching staff also really managing them really, really well.
Is there something to the start of the games that you don't like? Are you seeing a trend there, or do you like the chances that are being created by your team more so in one half than the other? Are you seeing any trends that are bothering you, or some things that you like in that regard?
Well, if you would ask me 3 weeks ago, I would have been bothered that we concede really late. You know, we concede immediately after scoring. That was a trend which we had since last year to get that minutes in, to focus, to keep the result the way it is. But now looking at the game against Orlando, where we haven't been yet on the field and we're 2-0 down. And the same thing now against Salt Lake, you know, just having a good talk, having a good warm-up, and everybody's really motivated and everybody wants to go out there and prove themselves. And like a Sunday strike, a magic strike after a few seconds on the field just kind of messes up your match plan. I wouldn't really say that's a trend, Tom. You know, we had it against Orlando. I think it was the worst start we had into a game like around 10 days ago. Yesterday, it was this amazing strike from a young player, which you can't save and you can't really defend on the edge of a box. So I'm more about that we settling down once we score, that we can hold on to a lead, and that we focused in the last 15 minutes of the game not to concede anymore. I think that's more the things I pick up.
I picked up on this quote from Klaus. I was going to read it to you. I like personally this kind of fire. You want to see this sort of passion coming from your best players, really from anybody, but certainly of someone who's led the way here for the last few years for you. He talked about enjoying this coaching staff and having good ideas and a lot of energy. He said, I really enjoy the way we play. He said, we have everything that we need. We have the fans behind us every single game. So what more do we need to be motivated every single day? We do what we love. We live in an amazing city with amazing fans behind us. We have an amazing facility. We have an amazing stadium. I mean, like what do we need more? That's from Klaus, who basically is saying, Lutz, that they just have to be more consistent in what they do every day.
Yeah, and I mean, it's great to hear, from a player like Klaus, and I can't agree more. I mean, people still support us, and we have, I think the ownership gave us the best possible facility, world-class facility we have, and everything we need. And I think it's great that the players really appreciate that. But, when Saturday comes, I mean, the motivation is there. And I think nobody who watched the game yesterday for 90 minutes can say that the players looked tired, or the players didn't look willing, or the players didn't look motivated, because I think they fought till the 97th minute every second of the game. But also, to be fair, if you're having 5 of your starting centre backs out, plus Edu plus Durkin, which are kind of in the heart of midfield, 2 of our most important players in the last 3 years, then I need to respect the players who are coming up and stepping up and doing a good job. I mean, yesterday in center midfield, Thomas Ostrak and Wallem, that's not typical sixes. That's a winger and a wing back playing on a position they hardly ever played in their life, and they still manage to do a good job. And I think that is what we have to build on. We know we have to get the players back. And like for me, honestly, like what stood out yesterday was Tyson Pierce coming on as a young international player playing for the United States youth national team. And you saw when he came on, the first few minutes, he was worried. He was, that's my debut. And then as more balls he got into his feet and as more comfortable he got, he showed what he can do. And that's a player I see here. That's the future for the club. I see him having a big future here with us. Same as Mackay, a player with so much promising talent, so much speed and so much goal scoring ability in the second team. That's what stood out for me yesterday. And it was. We should have, looking at the data, looking at the chances, looking at the opportunities we had, we should have picked something up. But I'm really proud about the boys who came there, who stood up, who fought, and the young boys who have taken the opportunity to represent the club in the city.
You will be taking on Portland on Sunday night, 6 o'clock Central on Y98 FM. A little Sunday night soccer for you. Energizer Park hosted the United States men's national team this past week, and now City will be back in there for some Major League Soccer. Lutz Pfannenstiel, always appreciate your visits on KMOX. Thank you for your time.
Thanks so much.
Always good to hear from Lutz. We will take a break. When we come back, John Mozeliak, Cardinals president of baseball operations, with us on Sports on a Sunday morning from the Stiefel Sports Studio.
KMOX Weekend at your service, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
Two legendary bands, one epic night, Collective Soul, and Live are bringing the rock to St. Louis. Catch their summer unity tour at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater July 17th. With special guest Graylin James Rue. Don't miss your chance to hear such hits as Shine, December, I Alone, and All Over You. Collective Soul and Live. Tickets can be found at Ticketmaster.com. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. All good things must come to an end, and this is your last chance to move to the Preserve. Choose for one of our 6 move-in ready market homes or our magnificent Turnberry display at Mackenzie and Watson Road. Enjoy the many trails, lakes, and loads of wooded common ground at this terrific location. Take advantage of the tremendous savings and special 5.5% 30-year fixed financing on select homes. Visit McKelveyHomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best is Chesterfield Fence and Deck. ChesterfieldFence.com. Love the folks there. 1968 is when they started with patios and sunrooms and pergolas and retaining walls, fences, and decks. They've expanded their business to their great customers through the years who say good things about them, the materials, the people. You can't run a business that successfully for that long without getting great customer feedback. And that's exactly what the folks who go to Chesterfield Fence and Deck say. Go to their showroom, actually, the one in Chesterfield Valley. You'll love walking through their really neat room. It's big. It's like walking through a neighborhood where you see everyone's different setup. Sunrooms, patios. I saw a grill, outdoor kitchen setup that had me very envious. I wouldn't mind a little bit of that. Maybe I'll take another look at that, swing by there. Or you can just go to ChesterfieldFence.com and see it for yourself. Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mention me, Tom Ackerman. Receive 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project. ChesterfieldFence.com.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, Call 800-207-4545. That's 800-207-4545. Once again, that's 800-207-4545.
Are moles tearing up your yard? Don't let these lawn invaders turn your beautiful property into a mess. Rottler Pest Solutions offers professional mole control services to protect your lawn from damage. Visit Rottler.com today to schedule your free inspection.
Summer is here. Time to enjoy baseball, barbecues, and the shade of your trees. When it comes to tree care, call the certified arborist at Gamma Tree Experts. Hi, I'm Tim Gamma. Protect your valuable trees from storm damage or devastating insects such as the emerald ash borer. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. For pruning, spraying, fertilization, or removals, call Gamma Tree Experts today at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
Now, back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning on 104.1 KMOX. From the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
With one out, the pitch, the runner goes from first. There's a long one. Left field. It's a gunner out of Wrigley Field. Joel Pozo with a pinch 3-home run. Unbelievable.
John Rooney with the call on KMOX. What a moment that was. Cardinals win the game 8-6. Joel Pozo with the bomb onto Waveland. Joining us is the Cardinals president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak, who I'm sure had a smile as that ball soared into the air. What a clout that was, Mo. Good morning.
Good morning. And absolutely. It was, you think about, first off, the week we've had, and then to see that game feel like it might be slipping away, and then to have that big inning, but huge swing. You're just hoping you get something in the outfield to get that run from third, but then, puts it into the street, which was like super cool.
Yeah, it was. Pozo, I asked you a while back, where do you find this guy? I mean, he's just, there's something special about him. His story, first of all, but also the way he makes contact and delivers in the clutch, cold off the bench. It's not easy to find those guys who not only do that well, but accept and love that role.
Yeah, I give John Vooch a lot of credit for bringing him in to add depth to our, catching lineup, especially when we were thinking about what we had at AAA. And then as you know the story, and midway through camp this year, we just really weren't all that excited about what we were seeing from the backup roles there. And so then we brought him into camp, and needless to say, he made an impression with our major league staff, really from more of a defensive standpoint, but obviously just the way he approaches his at-bats are been really fun to watch. Very aggressive hitter, right? Isn't going to be someone that walks a lot, puts the ball in play, so that bat-to-ball skill's real. And, he's had some big hits for us, and it's just great to see.
Speaking of bat-to-ball skills, Thomas Sajasi, talk about coming in at the last moment. We learned that Nolan Arenado can't play, scratched, shoulder impingement, so here comes Sajasi. He comes through with the big hit. Sajasi needed it, too. He'd had a dry spell there.
Yeah, he's been struggling a little bit at the plate. He, too, is one of those very aggressive type of hitters, doesn't take a lot of pitches, is trying to put the ball in play. But sometimes, you got to learn to be a little more selective, learn where your zones are, and then take advantage of it. But, young player, I do think one of the things that kind of went unnoticed yesterday was that play he made at home, which was, obviously they still scored a couple runs that inning, but had he not made that play, that could have been pretty costly. So defensively, he did a really nice job for us too. So great to see.
Agree with you 100%. He plays that position. I actually sent a text to a couple of our colleagues here that, boy, he plays a good third base, really does. Good decisions. I mean, Nolan Arenado is one of the best of his generation, of course, but what a nice thing to have. How is Nolan? Any updates on his shoulder?
No, as you know, we played a night, so no one's even close to the ballpark yet. Probably have a better idea of where he's at sometime later today.
The Cardinals also received, there was so much in this game. Gorman with his big hits and his home run, Burleson with a home run. Matt striking out Pete Crow Armstrong was massive, and hanging in there, backing up Libby, Steven Matz with a big moment there as well.
There was so much to unpack from that game. Like Ollie and I were hanging out last night after the game for a little bit, and it was just a very intense game. Like it was a slow-paced game, a lot of pitches thrown. I really think you got to give a lot of credit to Donovan's first at bat, which kind of set the tone for that inning, and we saw a lot of pitches that inning, and it ended up being one of those kind of games that there was just traffic on the bases almost every inning when the Cubs are up. And so it was stressful, but to get the win was awesome. And, you take what you can get from that. And in baseball, it's an interesting business, right? Like, Friday couldn't have been more depressing, and Saturday was awesome, and you got to turn the page and play today.
No, you're right. Game tonight at 5:10, Eric Fetty will pitch. Miles Miklasz pitched that game on Friday. And, you mentioned it earlier this week, the week that you had, it was just one of those difficult weeks going anywhere and getting shut out, going to Pittsburgh and losing all three by shutout. Just when you look back at that, is that just baseball happening? How do you review what is going on there?
I think, you don't have to be all that high baseball IQ to understand, just never really got the big hits, right? Mm-hmm. You think about how you score in this game, and we saw it Friday, right? A lot of solo home runs for the Cubs, but usually you say to yourself, you're not going to get beat if you give up solo home runs. But if you give up a bunch of them, yeah, it's painful. But back to Pittsburgh real quick. It's just we had some opportunities, could never break through, and I think that's just part of 162. It's rare to get shut out 3 games in a row, but it does happen, and there's not really anything so much you learn from it or glean from it. It's just, you got to find ways to have productive at-bats when you have those opportunities, because if you miss them, they tend to bite you.
I look at your rotation, and of course, you're going to sit there and review it and say, what can you do to change the rotation? I'm not sure how many options you really have. I mean, you have McGreevy, but it kind of is what it is at this point. You just have to fight through it.
Well, yes. And hopefully the guys that are struggling right now, when they take the ball, they can start making some adjustments, depending on how that goes. But you're right. McGreevy is lurking, and, we can only we can only hold him down so long. So at some point he's going to get an opportunity. Hopefully, tonight Fetty gives us a chance to win this game, keeps us in it. And he makes some adjustments because he's had some struggles of late. But, definitely he and Michaels have struggled with their last few starts. And, hopefully we can see better from both of them.
And then the question that everybody has is, what does this team do at the trade deadline? Still to be determined, I would imagine. These still have a few weeks to go here before you can make that call, just to see where you are in terms of contention. I mean, if you get to that point, if you are a contender, let's say you're right in the mix, do you feel like you have the resources to make the move that you want?
Yeah, the big question really is going to be what's the move? Mm-hmm. So, I think we have to be a little patient, see how this plays out. But, I hope we have a, very strong month of July, and we have some tough decisions to make when it comes to July 31st. So in the meantime, it's, obviously coming off a tough week, big win last night, try to make the most of it today. It'd be great to get a win tonight, and then, we'll just see where we go. But, overall, you got to like the vibe we see from this club. They compete, and hopefully we can keep building on it.
What's the latest on Jordan Walker and what you're seeing in his development and return?
I mean, the big thing for him is just getting his timing back. Missed a lot of time. It was an awkward injury that he had, not something that's really common with us. And, just when you're not able to swing the bat for a while, it's tough to get that timing back when you get thrown into it. So we're trying to take some baby steps with him, but this is an important week for him, and hopefully he can make the most of it.
And obviously, Ivan Herrera, it's just tough to watch him go through another injury because he was one of your best hitters. Anything new on Ivan?
No, not really. Again, it's one of those weird things. If we didn't know what the MRI said, he'd probably be playing, but we know what the MRI said. And so you got to be a little cautious in pushing him too quickly. But, I know he's feeling good, and I imagine when all of you guys see him at the ballpark this week, he's going to be getting pretty antsy to go out on a rehab, and I would imagine that's not too far away.
Best of luck tonight at Wrigley. Always an adventure. Well, hopefully you can come out on the front end of it like you did yesterday in a crazy baseball game at Wrigley. We appreciate you.
All right, thanks, Tommy.
Good to hear from John Mozeliak, Cardinals president of baseball operations. What a season this has been. We'll see. They could come away a series winner tonight after what we saw Friday. And as Mo said, there were parts of that game yesterday. It looked like it was slipping away. They found a way. Comeback wins. That's what this Cardinals team has been about, partly. Also, just some bumps in the road, and here they are, 5.5 out. Break, come back. Bernie Miklasz and I get into it. We talk some Cardinal baseball next on KMOX.
It doesn't take a lot to make a big difference.
That's why we've teamed up with Jerry Kelly Heating and Cooling to bring you 100 acts of kindness.
For the next 6 months, the Chris and Amy Show is challenging you to spread kindness in simple, meaningful ways. No big budget needed.
Write a thank you note, help a neighbor, surprise someone with a smile. It all counts.
Let's prove that kindness is contagious. Share your acts with us by using hashtag 100KindActs.
Because a little kindness goes a long way.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. This is National Cancer Survivor Awareness Month, and we are joined by Dr. Lindsay Peterson.
And the program at Siteman Cancer Center is always evolving to address the needs of all of our patients. And so we want to know, what patients need, what we can do for them, and we want to make sure that we're providing those different resources for them.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt. A little bit over $100,000. For a degree he couldn't use? Now what? I had a friend that went to my computer career. They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation. One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want. You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. It worked for me, and I know it can work for you. This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Dive into adventure this summer at the St. Louis Aquarium's Summer of the Shark. Get face to fin with some of the ocean's most awe-inspiring creatures in shark-themed exhibits, jaw-dropping displays, and interactive experiences for the whole family. Whether you're a fin-tastic fan or just curious, there's hands-on fun and fascinating facts around every corner at the St. Louis Aquarium. Don't miss your chance to make a splash. Plan your visit today at STLouisUnionStation.com. That's STLouisUnionStation.com.
When you retire, the paycheck from your job will likely stop. But here's what won't stop: bills, taxes, and medical issues. Sure, there's Social Security, but that may not be enough. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group can show you potential ways to develop a new stream of income that can last as long as you live. Kind of like having your own personal pension. You won't have to worry about whether the market is up or down or who's sitting in the White House. You can spend your time instead on the things that matter, like family, friends, and doing the things you never had time to do before. Call Steve All today at 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824 and schedule a custom income review at no charge. Or find us online at yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice.
When it comes to baseball in St. Louis, there's one station that's all in. KMOX. At noon, it's the Gas House Gang.
Let's talk some baseball.
Smart, unfiltered conversation with real baseball minds. At 5, the Redbird Rush Hour delivers sharp insight, fresh takes, and the latest from inside the clubhouse.
Now the pitch.
And when it's game time, we bring you every single pitch, all season long.
It's a gunner!
Others talk sports. We live Cardinals baseball. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
The Bernie Miklasz Report on KMOX is sponsored by Soliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer.
Now, back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning on 104.1 KMOX. From the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
Hello to Andrew Price. Hi back, Andrew. He was saying hello on our comment stream. Andrew is one of the greats from UCP Heartland. We love Andrew, one of our best supporters, no doubt about it. The Wingdings, support that. It's on September 9th at Chaffetz Arena this year. It's gotten so big that wing contest that Chaffetz is now holding it on September 9th to benefit UCP Heartland. Hello, Bernie Miklasz. How are you doing on this fine Sunday?
I'm doing great. It's been a fun weekend and looking forward to doing this with you and looking forward to watching the Cardinals tonight. And sports.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I just was chatting with John Mozeliak. A lot of our conversation was about that crazy game yesterday. That was nuts. Cardinals got it done.
Yeah, Pozo's unreal. If you look at him, and I heard the question he asked Mo about, it's not easy to find guys who just come off the bench at any time and hit. You know, he comes out of the dugout swinging. You know, and just to put a quick number on it, when he enters the game as a substitute, that includes pinch hitting. He's 8 for 15. That's a 533 average. That's just crazy. You know, I mean, you don't have bench guys who do that, right? What a great find it was by John Mozeliak and the Cardinals front office. Pozo has been amazing, and I just wonder going forward, and I'm not in any way advocating. Well, he ought to be the number one catcher. But I do think Pages has great defensive value. But Pozo's fine defensively, and I think that it might warrant getting him in the lineup a couple of times a week, especially if there's a left-hander going, because he crushes left-handed pitching too.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this lineup, when healthy, can string together some great at bats, because it was just bizarre to get shut out by the Pirates. And I look, I got it. They're hot and all that stuff, and the Cardinals are tired and they're missing players. It's still, I mean, it was just bizarre. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and the thing of it is, it's pretty easy to trace why. I mean, first of all, they faced two really great starting pitchers. In Skeens and Keller, but they were, all intents and purposes, they really didn't have Contreras during the series, except for Fort Bats. They didn't have Arenado in the series, and he's of course got the bad finger, now the shoulder. But here's the deal: they were terrible with runners in scoring position. All right, they had the two guys banged up that I just mentioned. And then if you look down the lineup, and I'll just read this really quick. It's simple. Donovan 2 for 11, 5 strikeouts. Wynn 2 for 11, 3 strikeouts. Nootbaar 1 for 6. Burleson 1 for 10. Gorman was 1 for 11 with 4 strikeouts. Scott was 2 for 10. My point being, if you can't hit with runners in scoring position, you're in trouble. If you get shut down to an extent by two really good starting pitchers, you're in trouble. If you're missing two key guys, Contreras and Arenado, that's more trouble. But then the guys you have to count on, the guys that are going to carry you, let's face it, are Donovan, Wynn, Nootbaar, Burleson, Gorman, and to a lesser extent Victor Scott offensively. Those guys all had brutal series in Pittsburgh. So if you look at it in that way, it's not that mysterious. You can't have all those guys in the lineup, especially with Arenado and Contreras out, you just can't have all of those guys have bad series because you're going to get nowhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, to have them all, post zeros at the same time is just crazy. Now,
yeah.
Here's the other thing is that, it's obviously not ignored the starting pitching. And you heard my question to Mo about that. And he mentioned that McGreevy is lurking. There has to be a point where you make the move. You get McGreevy permanently in this rotation. One of them, maybe you could solve it at the deadline. Maybe you can't. There's not much more else unless you were put Steven Matz in the rotation. But he showed what he can do in a relief role yesterday.
You probably have to stretch him out a little bit, but not too much because he's been pitching multiple innings in relief. But listen, they can't go on like this. If they really want to try to get in the postseason, and they're still in good shape with the wild card. Fetty in his last 8 starts, the team is 0-5, and he's got actually the team is 2-6, and he's got a 6.02 ERA. You go to Miklasz, his last 7 starts, he's got a 7.75 ERA. And what I did, Tom, is I went back to late May. And if we look at their last 15 starts combined, the team is 5-10. I mean, so think about all the games that are almost. This sounds rash. You know what I mean? I can't think of a better word. It's almost like you're forfeiting, a bunch of games because
it feels that way.
Yeah, because those guys are getting you down way behind in games. And the Cardinals are a great comeback team, but we got to be reasonable about it. I mean, you can't get down 6-0, 7-0 and come back. So something's got to give. You cannot have 2 guys of that caliber in your rotation. Now, some people, and I understand, would say, well, you shouldn't have 1 guy like that in your rotation. I get it. But realistically, could they – McGreevy, in my opinion, should already be here. And if this is a runway season, he should be here because there's no one pitching that well. I'm talking about Miklasz or Fetty. No one pitching great enough to where you say, well, there's really no room for him. You better believe there's room for him. The other thing is your idea about Matz, and I wonder why that hasn't gotten more currency. I think maybe they consider him to be really valuable in relief, and there's a point to be made there too. So, yeah, listen, if their starting pitching is not, if you're going to have Gray and you're going to have Liberatore, and then Pallante, to his credit, has been really good for the last 5 starts or so. But you're going to have those 2 guys at the top, then Pallante. The back end of your rotation has got to be competitive. I'm not saying they got to be Tom Seaver and Bob Gibson. They've got to be competitive, though. And these 2 guys, frankly, have not been competitive.
Yeah, I mean, nothing. You know me as being Mr. Positive, and I'm pretty chill when it comes to sports. I love sports, but nothing gets my blood boiling. Maybe when Indiana loses to Purdue, then these guys, pumping their hands up in the air at Wrigley Field and just taking batting practice against the Cardinals. I mean, it's just brutal. I mean, Friday was very, very difficult for them to come back and win Saturday. I give them credit because Friday was brutal.
Yeah, that was a huge win yesterday because I thought going in, I told Matt Pauley that the other day, 4th of July when I did 12 o'clock to 12:25 with Matt Pauley. And I said, look, the game they absolutely have to get is the middle game because I don't like their chances with Miklasz and I don't like their chances with Fetty. And I think they can win that game with Liberatore. And, Liberatore turned the lead over to the bullpen and it was just one of those days. But I don't know about you. And I hear you, man, you're an optimist and that's cool. But I don't know about you when the Cubs came back and, took that lead, 5-3. I was thinking, man, I thought they were going to get this one. This is bad.
Bad.
And then the 8th inning happened, and that was extraordinary. That was just great stuff.
It really was. And there's a couple of questions coming in here. We brought up the Mats thing in the rotation. We'll see. And I agree with that. That's from Wes for our radio listeners. He said, thanks for bringing up Mats in the rotation, Bernie. Please keep harping on that, especially when you look at Cubs versus lefties. And I agree. It's the first thing I thought of yesterday when I'm watching it. Why can't Mats be stretched out to join? And then, Verlis says Mats was so pissed yesterday after giving up that homer. It was good to see. I agree also. When he was shouting into his glove going into the dugout, that's the fire you want to see. Remember when Mats a couple years ago when they moved him into the bullpen and they said, what do you think? He goes, I don't know. I'm neutral about it. I'm like, neutral?
Yeah.
I mean, let's get angry. Don't you want to be in the rotation? So it was good to see him. By the way, what he did to Pete Crow Armstrong was just perfect. He breaking ball inner half, hits him far and away with 2 fastballs, game over. That's the Steven Matz you want.
Yeah, and I don't think it's this big long stretch to think of him getting back in the rotation. But what I do think is, quite frankly, I do think that Fetty's already been made available in the trade block. I don't know. Frankly, I have no idea what the interest would be, but you never know. And I could be wrong about this. I just don't see John Mozeliak designating Miles Miklasz for assignment. I could be wrong about it, but we know their policy. We know how they do these things. My point is, however, if your team is close enough, if your team stays in this, how could you, in good faith, continue to send these 2 guys out there to take a beating? 2/5 of your rotation. I don't see how you can do it. Like, what's the point of all this, right?
Yeah, it's tough.
And the other thing with a guy like Miklasz, and I'm sorry, he makes $17 million, right? It's not like by designating Miklasz for assignment, you're going to save money. That money's already gone. It's guaranteed. You're paying him anyway, right?
Yeah.
So there's no savings to be realized by DFAing him, right? So I don't get it. So there are times I just simply don't understand it.
About a minute to go. Some other things that you'll be watching for tonight, Bernie, top of your mind.
Some of the guys. Well, first of all, here's what I would say about this matchup tonight. Matthew Boyd's really, really, really good. So I would go into this game thinking, listen, the offense, there's no shame in getting shut down by Matthew Boyd. He's having a great year. But that's why Ollie Marmol has got to be really, really, really quick to not let the game get out of hand early. In other words, what I'm saying is, if Fetty's not good at the beginning and the Cubs get a couple runs, I'm sorry, he's got to go. You go to your bullpen early. You got the off day tomorrow. You turn it into a bullpen game. Ollie can't sit there and watch this game become like 5-0 early. Because it's over at that point.
Yeah, he can't use the burning up the bullpen explanation this time.
No,
he's got a playoff game.
He's got to be very, very aggressive. A lot of urgency.
Yep. It's going to be a good one. It's Cards Cubs. It's a 5:10 start. Bernie Miklasz, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin dealer, and SaligaHeatingandCooling.com to learn more. Appreciate you. Always good to talk to you.
See you, brother.
We will pause for the noon news. And again, Joe Pott will be with you at 4:15 for pregame right here on the Voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM KMOX.
Your home sold guaranteed, or I'll buy it. Hi, I'm Gloria Liu, broker owner at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty.